Welcome to Powerboat Talk, the podcast where we talk everything performance boats with your host, Joe Road.
All right, welcome to Powerboat Talk. So today I'm here with Tony Chiaramonte, who is the VP and one of the owners of DCB Racing. You'll probably know it as Dave's Custom Boats. Tony's been in the industry for a long time, so really interested to hear what he has to say. They've got some real new exciting stuff going on at DCB in the last couple months. And thanks Tony. Thanks for joining us.
How you doing? Yeah, good to see you again, Joe. It's been a little while, and I'm glad we could finally make this happen and connect.
Yeah. Well, I know you've been busy. In fact, I guess you guys just went through some sort of an ownership change and a new move at the same time. And so why don't you tell us what's going on there?
Yeah. So very positive, you guys. We've been so if I can kind of go back a bit. So Dave Hemmingson, DCB Dave, everybody knows him. Hollywood did a great job, put this whole thing together. Yeah, that's a fun. You and I both know what I'm talking about. So, we turned kind of a garage Boyd Coddington style hot rod shop of boating, rigging other people's holes. I like I said, it is 30 years for me now. So in May of 93 marked 30 years, which I'm pretty proud of. Still here, still doing it, still love it. But he built the business up and obviously ran into a little financial hiccup when everyone else did in the kind of 08 to 10 era. So luckily we had a Canadian customer turned owner, and he basically bought the company, for lack of a better word, saved it from not being here anymore. And he had Rob Blair was his name, Canadian. Him and his family completely, totally believed in us. Basically went from buying a boat to having to kind of buy a company to get the boat, and really never got it. We built a few boats and he'd run them, and then we ended up selling them. So he was liked, like everyone else, was a great businessman, and that's what the company needed at the end of the day. So kind of full circle again. So Rob kind of ran his time frame, got older, was Canadian, obviously went through COVID, and that he's one of the, like myself, one of the unvaccinated. I'm not doing it. And in Canada, basically locked you up. So he was stuck there for 3 years and had some health issues, and was like, you guys, I just kind of run my course. Let's start looking for the right guy. And we did. And luckily Jeff, so I can explain to everybody. So I know you've seen him on Havasu and every places. So his name's Craig Hargreaves, and Kim, his family, they have the spooled up boats. So he's got 4 boats that look the same, a pontoon. He's got a big MTI Cat, a 42 center console. And of course we built him a 44, which was his second DCB. He built a 41 back. And then the transition of the second one is when Dave left, retired basically, and sold to Rob, and I took over. So Craig, testament to us and what we do here. We're a 15 boat a year company, a very high end, very custom one-off. As people have told us, you guys like to say, I think we're the true boutique builder of boating. So we keep the quantity low and the quality very high. So it's one at a time. Actually, we do about 3 or 4 at a time, but basically it's very precise, very on point with that customer, very hands-on, from picking the colors to do whatever. So Craig was a very satisfied customer and dissatisfied with some other boats he's bought. So he believed in what we did, and he's a very unbelievable businessman, and his family has bringing a lot to the table. So he's the one that bought the majority owner out, which was Rob and Paul and Jeff and I. So Jeff Johnson, Hearing Propellers, Paul Miller's been here, I think, almost 25 or close to 30 years as well. We've been friends for a long time as well. So us three we have a little bit of skin in the game. So we are partners as well. So it kind of worked out great, you guys. So it's not all for nothing. And so we're employees / we're small partners, but still we got skin in the game, and that's what matters. So that's kind of the Reader's Digest version. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Anybody's got any part of it, especially a company like that, that's fantastic. Yeah. Good for you. And then you guys moved to kind of at the same time. Was that all part of it when you moved to what, Phoenix?
So Craig, his whole deal was getting out of California, which that's what it is. We kind of pump faked, for lack of a better word, 3-4 years ago. Like, hey guys, we're probably going to move out of California. Who's in? And a year went by, 2 years went by. So a lot of people got disheartened and actually left because they didn't want to be in California anymore. As hard as it's just not a manufacturer friendly state, unless you got some kind of loophole. You guys, we're not. We're CARB, EPA, gel coat resins. I mean, they were breathing down our neck. Luckily, we were grandfathered in for a few parts of our lamination process, thank God, and then the infusion, which we do. So we vacuum infuse every part. So our VOCs and stuff going into the air was very low. But out here, I mean, we went from like almost a boot in the ass to California to open arms here. I mean, with the tax credits, and they are all about having. And now, Kachina, bless their hearts. So we're the only OEM in Phoenix now, boat manufacturers. So we really got a really good thing ahead of us. And Craig owns the building and many more in this area. So we moved into one of his buildings. It's about a little over 30,000 feet. We moved out of about 12, but we did have 2 buildings. So yes, we do have more room, but having everything under one roof and the efficiency, and you got to see this place, Joe. I mean, epoxy floors. We put a new door in, 60 tons of AC, so it's 75 degrees in a 30-something square foot building right now. Everybody is the whole aura, the whole vibe of this place now is like just gung ho. So it's quite a place to get stuff done. So we're looking forward to that. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And I think people know that, when you go from multiple buildings to one, even if they're right next to each other, everybody knows you get a little more efficient, but until you actually do it, you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
How did we work out of 2 buildings forever?
Yeah. And we got some new product coming. We're building a bigger cat for Outboards, with this new 500 now that everybody, the cat's out of the bag. So we got our second 37 about ready to roll out the door next week. And then we went to Sarasota just this week. And that was part of the reason too, trying to hook up. So we flew to Sarasota and with Marine Concepts, and they're doing the tooling and starting. So we're doing basically a 37 on steroids, which is an M42R. So it's going to be a little over 11 wide, bigger tunnel, a lot longer, bigger cockpit, wider. So it'll be everyone wants to do the 4 front seats. I hate to say 8-seater because running 8-seat in an outboard boat isn't really, you can do it, but we just want a little more cockpit room. We can do it in the 37, but the 2 outside rear seats are they're not the best to ride in anyway, but you have a true 6-seat boat because you have 4 front seats. So the wives, the girlfriends, I mean, they don't have to put their hair in a ponytail if they want to, so they're not getting beat up in the back seat. So you have 4 really good seats, and it's become very popular. So a lot of people want that option. So this 42 will have it. It'll just be a lot easier. So, yep. So that's kind of new. That center console will circle back, and we're talking about maybe doing something in a smaller, I hate to use the word entry level, but we're trying to get back to the roots of, the old Mach 22, Mach 26 days where people were like, hey man, that's attainable. And then I can work my way up. So we're looking in that direction as well, you guys. I think there's a market there that we need to get back into. Yeah.
Cause I mean, you guys are definitely one of those companies where, I think you said it with your owner that, these guys they buy one after another, they grow into them. So you've kind of got both ends of that scale. Like you've got to keep coming up with the bigger one, because a lot of guys want to go bigger, wider, faster. But then, you also have to look at, okay, wait a minute. We don't want to get too far away from a boat that a guy can get started into it, right. Because you may have a younger guy that's doing really well, but he's not doing, 37 foot well, right? And
and that's the thing is generationally speaking, what they say about every 30 years. So it's time to get back into that, which is funny to say, but that high 2, low 3 marketplace, which is, it is the Howard deck boats, 285, 325. So we want to be in that genre of boats to where people can, if they're going to shop, be it Eliminator, and I don't mind plugging everybody, guys, because it's all friendly competition. Everybody builds a great boat, be it the Howard, the Eliminator. We're trying to come after a 28-ish open bow walkthrough, probably single outboard, because it's so popular right now with everything and they're so efficient. And I think we can make it run pretty good with 6, 8, 10 people on it. So not quite completely there yet, but that's something that we're definitely putting our head down.
I remember in the old days when Dave first got started, and he was down kind of where you guys were, you left, which was like San Diego County, I believe, right? Down south. Yep. By the way, going back to the California discussion, California is bad, but where you guys were is probably the worst place in California to be, because I mean, it was just San Diego County is just crazy. crazy expensive.
Homeless and then, like you say, people crapping on the front and I'd come to work and people got their tent set up on the sidewalk. Like, really, dude, get out of here. And you can't tell them to leave. They just look at you like you're crazy. It's like, oh, that's right. You have more rights than I do. Newsom he's really made a mockery of that place, dude. It's so sad. It really is.
Hey, man,
it's just 30 years ago. We all love living there too, man. It's really weird to not want to live there anymore. And that was hard for me to do because I was born and raised there. So,
yeah, it's tough because, I mean, there's it's so much good about it. And, it's pretty pathetic, but anyhow, enough of that. But back to Dave. So Dave started back, I think, like in the late 90s, and he was, I believe, just buying Daytonas and rigging them himself. And he was just like the first guy where it was just not the first guy, but he was one of those guys where it was. I mean, remember when Hot Boat or somebody would do a profile on one of his boats, everybody was just crazy how the wiring was just perfect, and I mean, he was just everything was just perfect, and I mean that set the tone for where you're at now, right?
Oh yeah, that's literally what has put us on the forefront, and that's really what we go down to. And now it's just the details, you guys, the stitching in the seats and the embroidery and the shape and what we've been able to do with keeping that, like I said, just keeping the quality super high. And I think that's what people really want. And it is. We have a lot of first time buyers, but that first time buyer has heard about us and want to know what the hype's all about. And the boats, they run as good as they look, and they look as good as they run, vice versa. And it is. I mean, it's amazing somebody will spend that kind of money, Joe, and look at me in the face and say, "This is the best money I've ever spent." And I kind of look at them like, "What?" So it's okay, but it is. That makes you feel pretty good. Where, we're definitely in the want, not the need kind of industry, and a lot of people want our. I mean, we're 2 years out on builds, so we got I call it a line of clipboards where people are still, and if somebody wants to vacillate, we'll put somebody. It's a cool feeling, especially with what's going on in the world right now. So it's the clientele is strong.
Yeah, that's to be really nice, and that's probably a really big benefit of having just a limited production. You kind of know where you're going to be in 2 years for the most part. Which you and I being in this boating industry for this long, that's a really big luxury because there was years when you didn't know where you were going to be in August when it was June. It was so up and down. And
remember, people always say, "Is it busy?" or the whole part of that. It's like it's crazy how. You don't know until you know, but yeah, I mean, it was like you had to really stack the deck in the wintertime to keep everybody busy in the summertime. Now it's pretty solid. It's pretty solid 12-month of boating, and it's more fun, and I think it's more efficient to get them done. I'd rather go to Havasu in the wintertime anyway. So. Oh
yeah, totally, totally. You get to live that year round now. You get those Arizona Octobers and Novembers.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice. I'm looking forward to that. It's hot right now.
Yeah, cool. So how did you get your start? Did you grow up boating or just by happenstance?
I luckily, you guys, my dad's a retired Teamster, so pretty much blue collar is my whole entire Italian background, and everybody, my uncles, my grandfather, they were running a backhoe to a dozer to driving a truck. It was very, even goes back to Great Vineyards, Italian family. So lucky, you guys, being in the right place at the right time. One of my really good friends, which is still one of my good friends today, he actually, I sent him to Johnny, or I sent him to Jake at Eliminator to build a deck boat, and then he ended up building one of they refurbed and brought the 19 Daytona back. So that white and blue 19 Daytona, that's one of my very dear friends, and he spoke highly of me because it goes back to the late 80s, early 90s when that whole no on D&J went through. So kind of showing my age right now, but I was working for this company, big construction company in California, and basically got laid off. But I went to work for Dave, which was at that time was called Dave's Custom Boats, and we were rigging mainly Eliminators, but we really had the niche on the outboard, the high performance outboard market. And Dave had cornered the market and got the high performance dealership. So it was funny. So like a Levy Craft, Eliminator, all the companies had to buy outboards from us. So that's the way the dealership worked.
Wow.
So we had the outboard market cornered. So we were third in the world at one time. Like it was Cody Marine and Diamond Marine and DCB. It was like, what? So even that's what Bob started doing. And Bob kind of shot himself in the foot, but that's where I met Bob. That's where all my relationships built, Joe, was back in the day when I met Peter Led and we were rigging a couple skaters. Remember the STVs?
Oh yeah,
you know, then we started rigging the Daytonas, and we got into inboards. Then we got into a couple of their 25 Eagles, and then that's when we bought the molds from Brent, the 22 Extreme. And of course, that didn't go well between the father and the son, so that was an ugly deal. But we got through it, and then we ended up tooling our Mach 22, which we wanted to have something in between the 21 and the 22 Daytona. And we came out with a little 22-footer, which that's still today one of my favorite boats to drive. It's a little rocket ship. I've been over 130 miles an hour in one with twin drag 2.5s. It's a pretty solid, stable boat. I mean, it's a river. You know, you go up the river in Havasu, or obviously it's a nice water boat. It'll take a little bit of lumps, but you know, you don't want to be going very fast at that given speed. But so anyway, that's where we just went on from there. And then we came out with the Mach 26, and then we did the 34, which I'll be honest with you guys, it wasn't a failure, but close to it. We kind of tried to put small boat technology. And I'll be honest with you guys, that's one thing that I'll take to my grave, you guys, is the biggest testament is us is I don't say learning from your mistakes, but if you can say that you haven't done anything wrong in the marine world, you're full of shit. So you just gotta get better. And almost sometimes, you know, I've learned so much about, and right now, Joe, with the technology, propellers, and if you'd have told me 10 years ago that we were going to have a boat that's 37 feet long, 10 and a half feet wide, first of all, it weighs 6,000 pounds when it's done, and it'll go 130 miles an hour with 900, 1,000 horsepower on it, I would have laughed in your face. And I can put any one of our boats in the water and do that. It's just astounding to me. So, but you learn as you go. You try to make it better. But the compression, the efficiency, the steps, what's going on under the boat is still pretty. Has a lot to do with what's going on today. Even the inboard world. I mean, you put 1350s in a Bayliner, it's going to go 150 miles an hour. But to make something go, and that's what it brings back. Remember the outboard stuff. Remember, you know, not eating that morning and talking to people, and you go up to Speed Alley in Havasu, and you could run a mile an hour faster because you take the back seat out. It's still somewhat true, but now you can do it with compression and the tunnel, and like some of these bigger boats with the bigger tunnels are running as faster that weigh more. It's the way the boat goes through the water. So the efficiency is that's what I like. It is every day I come here, I'm still learning something all the time, man. And I guess I'll quit learning when I'm dead, which I hope is a long time. So
yeah, it's
still fun.
No, it's amazing. And I remember when cats first started coming along and the speed started coming up, I think it was kind of around the HTM early days. And I remember we always were, the talk of the industry was, man, it's making me nervous because this stuff's going to just get too fast. And these guys, anybody can go buy one, right? But what's amazing is that it never really happened because the technology evolved so well that the stuff got pretty dang safe. Like for the speeds you're going.
Right.
You know how it is. I mean, to drive 130 miles an hour in one of your boats is like 15 years ago. Tried to do that in anything. It was like a handful.
You were wringing its neck, Joe. You know that. I mean, you were. People make a joke that I'm going to drive behind you with a catcher's mitt to catch the parts coming out of that engine. So it's like, remember the Bravo drives?
And the drives.
I mean, I've seen people just literally they leave the boat. You know, you're looking not to sink.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, it is. I mean, bolt a set of engines on the back or even in, you got 2-3 years of factory warranty and you can buy up to 5 more. It's like you could sell a boat to somebody after running for 3 years and say, hey man, you got 3 years of warranty still. It's like, what? So it's not still like a car, but there you go. I'm going to say it out loud. It's regulated, but there's still a point where you can get in the boat with certain conditions, certain day of the week. You can run 100 miles an hour and no one's going to say shit to you. And that's where else can you do that? You can't. I mean, so that's still attainable. Hopefully nobody messes it up. So that's it. I mean, we have to be careful, and it is. I think a lot differently. I'm married and have kids, and trust me, I will any chance I have to go fast, I'm going to do it. But you really think about it differently now. I mean, I've been over 180 miles an hour multiple times on the water. Done a lot of these shootouts, you guys, which is very controlled. It's not offshore racing, but when it's a controlled environment and you can wring its neck, so to speak, it's fun now to just, whoa, that was cool. I just ran 150 something last Friday. I took a boat out, and it's just so attainable. But it's something that still people want to go do, and I think that's you can buy fast cars, but you got to really be careful what you're doing, or you're going to get busted. So in the water, you can still get away with it.
Yeah, it's still kind of that one frontier that's maybe that and off-road stuff's about it, right? But you made a comment about it's not a car, but it's close. It's like, yeah, you know what? I haven't really thought about that, but yeah, the automotive guys have always been so far away, so far ahead of the boats because it's sheer numbers, right? They have the money, they've got the R&D, they've got the the factories, but that gap is, this is probably as best as it's ever been as far as reliability and the Mercury stuff is just unbelievable.
And that's what you guys, can we use other product? Yeah, but it's if people ask me that, well, can I do this and that? It's like, I actually just ask them, I go, why? Like, give me a reason why you'd want, I like so-and-so and it's local. Yeah, but it's, everybody works on Mercury. If you want to resell it, it's Mercury. It's hard to say no to what they're building now. And like you say, it is, you guys, it's preference still, but this outboard market is pretty hot right now, especially this new 500. Very, very, very smooth power.
Yeah. Now, were you at when they introduced the 500? Did you guys have them on a boat back there?
Yeah, no, we actually were, which was nice, you guys. We were invited to that party, which has been a long time coming. We finally have a partnership with Mercury Racing that I wouldn't trade for anything. So, we're on that invite list. We're on the forefront. We get to, we had those engines 3 months here before. I can tell everybody now, like they were, we had special covers and special this, and I had to go run it. I ran it at Elsinore and had to keep them covered. And it was cool though to get that boat and for people to say, hey, you going to this new, because then the 500 got released and it's like, are you there? It's like, I sent pictures to people and said, here I am. So we were one of the 16 or whatever, 13 or 14 boats there. We were part of the program and got to go to that dinner, and it was a very, very elite group of people there. And Jeff and I were there, so it felt pretty good.
Well, that's cool. Well, dude, you guys have earned it, man. You've earned that seat.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, it's been a fun ride. It really has.
So I didn't think about that though, but man, how'd you keep that thing quiet? Because man, you guys, Eliminator's pretty open about letting guys come in and out of that place, and
well, he even poor Jake even said that to me. He's asked me, he goes, are you part of this program? Because the manufacturers knew, the OEMs, let the cat out of the bag probably 4 weeks before, because that's when the invites came out, and I was straight up with Jake. I said, Jake, I'm going, but I'll just see you there. And he's like, I just didn't know if you guys had something with power on it, and they don't. The 37 is kind of that market, which is perfect, the perfect size, a perfect boat for it. So so when Jake showed up, I, offered to take him for a ride in our boat, and he goes, you dog. So it's a cool feeling to be on that hot sheet, Yeah.
And I totally just made a mistake because I said Eliminator. What I meant is, people come in and out of DCB all the time, and you've got those you've got those 500s out there. Like, how did you keep that quiet?
We had to keep them covered. We had cowling covers, and then we just put what is hard, if you know what you're looking at too, is they had a new lower unit. That was the whole kicker.
Yeah, I heard bigger,
so
right?
It's a bigger prop shaft. So that was the thing. If you really know what you're looking at, and especially, we were working on a 450 boat and a 500 boat. So we had to just kind of keep it on the down low. And I'd make sure people would kind of look at the boat and look around. But if, you look at the power head, it was the same. So you can't tell by looking, unless somebody walked up and read the PCM on there, which is the ECU, like, hey, what's this whole thing? But it was, anyway, it went. Yeah. It wasn't totally hard, but you could have let the cat out of the bag, and it was tough not to do. I think I'm one of the only guys, you guys and Jeff too, us. And I really try to stick to what they want us to do. We sign NDAs and we try to protect ourselves and obviously protect who we're, so to speak, in bed with. But it's I just try to keep it on the down low, So.
Yeah. Now that thing, I think it had a little bit different midsection on it, but was there any problems as far as because you ran external steering on it, so that stuff was all kind of the same mount points and stuff?
Yeah, well, they have a bigger, better steering cylinder. Of course, now the steering doesn't come with the engine, so it's an extra cost. But it is, you guys, for the cost. And in the 450s, they're still there, but they're not. It's, the 400 V10 or the 500 now. So it's, you got one or the other, and it has steering. You have to buy the steering cylinder, which is a little bit bigger and better. So that's kind of how it works. So, yep.
And there's something else I heard about I was curious about. Oh, well, I guess they went back to the kind of an earlier style trim ram setup.
Yeah, so it's got an intermittent. It's basically got it's more solid and a little bit slower. So it's a little bit, I don't want to say more accurate. It's to the 10th of a percent. Everything's digital now. So it locks itself in better there. The engine doesn't move around as much, you guys. So good old kudos to engineering and Mercury spending what they need to spend, you guys. It's pretty solid what they do. Yep.
All right, cool. I heard that they went back to that, and I didn't really know why they did it. So that's
if you look down at the bottom, you got the main steering cylinder. It comes down. It's got the two smaller ones, kind of like, so it's when you're in that trim range, which is tucked in or neutral, the engine and the engine mounts are better. The lower unit's bigger. You can run a higher gear case height. It's almost a half-inch higher, which is pretty crazy. But so pretty good, man. I'm pretty happy with them.
Yeah. Do you think you think that's going to probably be standard on everything now? Do you foresee somebody coming in?
37. Yeah. That 400 V10 is great. And they switched to that, which it's a bigger displacement aspirator, and it's a stout 400, and then this 500 is a stout 500. But you say that 400 runs on 87, and this new 500 runs on 89. So it's that Rec 90 fuel on the East Coast. That's all you need to do. So it's a dime a dozen now. So
that's cool. There's something else I thought about from a technology standpoint. I've been curious about that. I don't know much about. So on the stern drive stuff, like I think it's like the 1100/1200s, 1250s, the 1350s/1550s. It's a dual calibration motor.
Yeah.
How does that actually work? You literally just flip a switch.
Yeah, you got to have they have an 1100 that runs on 89, and it comes with an M6 drive, and that has a 2-year warranty, and you can actually spend a little more money cost wise, and you can get an additional year. So for an extra $25,000, which give or take, it's cheaper than a rebuild. You can have a 3-year warranty on a 1100 horsepower engine for Mercury. Then they have the 1100 1350. So they just don't have a 1350 anymore. It's a dual calibration, but what it is, it's a 91 and 89 octane engine. So if you're in Florida, you can only get Rec 90. You're going to run it on 1100 mode, but it comes with the M8 drive, which is a little more solid. That'll handle the 1350.
Gotcha.
But the 1350, 1550 is the one that takes 91 and race gas. So the last few boats we've actually done 4 gas tanks. So you can actually shift that on the fly, and you got to change a key fob is what it is. So there's a little bit of a shutdown. You got to turn the keys off, power down, put the key fob in. You turn everything back on. It basically tells you, hey, you got the race key in here. You better have good gas in here. You're going to have problems. So,
gotcha.
But they run, I've seen mid to high 30s pounds of boost, Joe, on 112 octane fuel. And boy, it's a light switch. You get in that boat and you hit the throttle. I've been I think around 169 or 70 in a 3/4 mile and a 35 with 1550s. So,
That's unbelievable.
And it's pulling until you lift. It's 60, 60 and 100 RPM. It's just screaming, and they make the power that they say.
Wow.
Period.
So
the torque is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So that switch just changes the tune. You put higher octane in the thing, and you're off.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. So, you can still do the old fashioned way where you tell people, hey, if you're going to run it, and it's kind of a good insurance. Like if you're running this, you got to suck the fuel out and put good fuel in it. You like you say, you can run 91 mode with race gas. It's kind of hard on the spark plugs, but yeah, if you're going to run it in 1550 mode, you better make sure you got to have 112. It's got to be Sunoco 112. And that's what I tell people. Don't mess around. Just buy the right fuel,
Wow, crazy.
Yep.
Thanks. I've been because I hear it talked about and stuff, and that all kind of stopped after I was in it. I'm like, I got to ask Tony. He'll know how that all works. So thanks for explaining.
That's great.
That's cool.
And we still got a couple. It's not all outboards. We're 75, probably 75% outboards, but we still have. I got a 35 coming up, 1100s. We got a couple 41s coming up with 1350s and one with 1100s. So it is, you guys. And if I was building an inboard boat, I'd probably do something with 1100s. It's all you really need. You feel the torque and the pulling power of the 1350, but the big number. Everybody's lifting at that 150 mark, and they'll go 150, 160 with 1100s, and obviously a little bit more with 1350s. But it's all you need. And like you say, 2 years of warranty on an engine that puts out that kind of power is amazing.
That's unbelievable. Yep. That's unbelievable. So you talked about Shootout, and so I just read somewhere that I guess you've been nominated for like their Hall of Fame for this year. You're getting inducted
cool year.
into it.
Another good year. Yeah. So I've been doing it for a long time, obviously here and then out there at Lake of the Ozarks. So it's quite a cool deal, to be on the list of names that have already been there and possibly coming up. You guys, the Bob Teagues, the Sisms, the Myrick Coyles, the Johnny Tomlinsons. It's weird to be on that list of very credible people. And like you say, Joe, this is 30 years for me. So it is, I still consider myself the boat rigger guy. And they're recognizing me, you guys, but I'm nothing with, basically I'm the bus driver, right? But if the bus is empty and I'm driving it, dude, it's really, what good is it unless you got the crew of people behind you?
Yeah.
So we do. Yeah. We have a great crew of people here. And like you say, a lot of the people, the majority here that did make the move with us, are still here, and we're still kicking ass. And they've been here 20 plus years, a lot of them. So it's a testament to people. We still build every boat like it's our own. So it's quite a neat thing.
Yeah. Well, a testament to you guys running the place too. Cause
yeah. Thank you.
You're doing something right to keep those guys happy. And so right. How many, so the majority of the guys made the move, or?
Yeah, we're probably 70-80%. Nice. Retention. And a lot of those people were like, they even threatened us a year ago, like, if we're not moving, I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, we don't want to do it without you, I think is what. So we did. Once we finally got down to the brass tacks of things, we gave everybody the opportunity to come on board or not come on board. And luckily most of the people that we really needed stayed. So yeah, I'm talking all the way down to the gel coaters and the laminators too. So, yeah. They're in, like you said, they're outside working in a 75-degree building, and it's 100-something degrees outside, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, and again, going back to where you guys were, I mean, those guys, they probably all had long commutes because nobody can afford houses down there. So
it's tough. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Well, congratulations on the lotto thing. That's pretty cool. But just for a note, what's the fastest you've been there?
One in the 170s. I think back I ran a 1550-35. I think it was a 173 or something like that, and kind of like up in the corner. That's why I'm still kind of setting up my office. But I got a good list of plaques, and I've won, never top dog. The big guys are running the 190s, 200s, but I've done a lot of our it's called the class, so you take the trophy in your class, which is kind of cool. I've done that, half a dozen times. So it is, it's consistency. I do like to, it's the true weekend warrior. And I like to see the boats go through, and, from 0 to top speed, they don't do anything stupid, and anybody can do it. And there's been a couple years I haven't run because that person wants me to run their boat, and I just kind of keep pushing them. You need to do it, and they do it. And it's an adrenaline rush. You put the helmet on, you get to run through a closed course. You got all the people looking at you, and it's quiet. You're like, am I good for maybe one or two, Joe? Sometimes, but sometimes I've had a guy go through, and it's like, it's better than I've run through there in that kind of boat. So kudos to, but it is, our boats are, I think they're pretty user friendly, and they go fast, and they don't do anything stupid. So, the boats do what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and you just brought up something too. Speaking of these guys driving their own boats, I mean, even though they're safe and they don't do anything stupid, I mean, it's still a 150 mile an hour boat's nothing to sneeze at to turn loose for a guy. So how do you vet a guy? I mean, if a guy walks in a completely green guy, I mean, what do you guys do to make sure this guy walks away safe?
I deliver. Well, water testing every boat first, right? Making sure everything is perfect. And then I turn it over where they're not going to have any kind of hiccups or weird handling issue. Every boat's different. Every boat, center of gravity is pretty clutch here. We're pretty Johnny on the spot with that, but it depends on the person. A lot of people have more dollars than cents. But I really try to take my time with everybody. I don't care if it's an hour or a whole day. I spent a couple days with people. It depends on how I'm feeling with them, and I really push. First is good old Trace Martin. Sean Chiaramonte does a class.
Driving schools.
I really push that. Yeah, just it is. It's like a Bob Bondurant thing. It's a lot of people do it for if you're going to run a car around a track, or if you're going to get drag race, you can't just get in a car and go down the track. You got to get certified. So I'm not certifying you guys. I do have a lot of seat time in our boats, and I just like to give them my information, my wisdom on what I've done, and I'm still here. Knock on wood. So. It is, but it is. It's always just baby steps. Don't bite off more than you can chew, because it can bite you super fast, as we all know.
Yeah, and obviously the guys that are buying your boats are very well off, and so they're probably above average smarts and talent, and so I'm sure they know, because especially a first time guy in a boat like that. I've been doing it for years. I would be scared to death. I'd be hey, hang out with me for a week, man. So
yeah. Time, you guys, and most of the customers are super cool, laid back. Their families, houses, come hang out. And that's the thing is, I think that's the best part of this job is turning those your phone calls turn into, you're talking to them on the weekends, and, you're learning what they're doing, you're learning what their people are doing, and you end up, I got some of my best friends are probably from this job. So yeah, I built a lot of great relationships along with building some cool boats too.
Yeah, that is a good spot. Yep. When it's centered around fun and water, and I get it. So do you think if you didn't get into this, would you be doing construction? Would you be in the Teamsters, or would you be doing something else?
I don't know about Teamsters, but like you say, running. Yeah, I'd probably be doing something with like I say, and this, a lot of people obviously are, most of our clientele are business owners. So yeah, the construction world, which keeps the balls, everything, the wheels rolling, and anything. That's kind of the the pulse of the world, I think. Anyway, is how's construction. So. And those people are feeding my family. So yeah, it's I mean, who knows? Probably, I probably would have shoot, I could probably be retired now. But it's I always say that's my kind of thing. Doing what I do beats digging ditches, but that you can make a good living doing that too. So yeah, having that family and that background of that, something weird happened. I guess something could go that way, but yeah, things are good here though. I think we're pretty solid.
So what's kind of the biggest challenge you guys face there?
I think with so many hands in the cookie jar is putting all the vendors and all the people and getting everything done in time with the time frame we're allotted, and keeping those people from getting shitty fast with how long sometimes the boats take to build, which a lot of our stuff is, and we're trying, that's what we're doing, you guys. We bought our own, we just bought a couple $100,000 CNC perforation machine. We're going to start cutting our own sea deck. We're really trying to get a lot more stuff in-house here because it's just relying on other people. And we learned the hard way with COVID, having hundreds of thousands of dollars that we had to keep in stock because you didn't know when you were going to get it. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it used to be like, why do we do that? There's somebody else that does it better. But now, keeping it all under your own control and not having that guy tie up, especially, God, for a price of one of your boats, when you're sitting there waiting for a $500 part, that has to just drive you nuts.
Yeah, I mean, and it's happened before. You got a boat that's done for a switch panel. I mean, is it $500 or $5,000? It's still to hold that boat up because somebody dropped the ball or the powder coater didn't get the right shit, and Joey, you've been down that road.
No, I wouldn't know anything. I wouldn't know anything about that stuff.
Parts are a pain in the ass, dude. So, but it is. You have to rely on people, and that's what another thing. This 30, 40, 50 boat year places, you can have it, man. I couldn't even imagine, our 13, 14, 15, maybe we get up to 18 or 20. That's our goal. But that's what we really want to attain. I mean, I think we can pick up a boat or two just efficiency wise doing the same thing we're doing. So yeah, everything's looking good. So
that's awesome. So one last thing I like to ask people. So tell me something about yourself that people would be surprised to know or want to know more about.
I love what I do. I think people always ask me, would you have one of our boats? Yep. But I don't even know if it's, it is, I think, having two boats, if you really want to have the best of both worlds. But I think what I like to do, Joe, is my family and my wife, so we met about 6 months before I started doing this. So people always think like, I know people like you, Joe. I've known people 30 years now that are like, I've never met your wife, but she's probably the heart and soul, the backbone of me, because she lets me go be Tony of DCB and I don't have to drag her along, and she doesn't want to be dragged along. So I think if people really knew how the core of, I think, who I am and how I am is probably how my wife has let me live my life and how my family has, to where I got a pretty solid background, even the way I grew up too, being around people that have the means to do what we do, I think is you have to build special relationships. So I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty transparent. I mean, I do, I like to do what I do for a living. I like to do for fun as well, going to the lake, going to the river, but I'm pretty laid back. I mean, people always ask me what I'm doing over the weekend. I like to enjoy my house. I've tried to build myself where I'm very proud of what I have and what it is. Owning a home nowadays is tough. So I think just more of a homebody than you think. I'm not a big drinker. I've never have been. did my fair share of having fun when I was younger, but now I'm getting older and maybe wiser. I laugh at saying that, but it is. I'm pretty laid back. I can keep up with the most of them, but I think real Tony is, I'd rather be at my house having a beer by myself or with my family and spending quality time with my family. But a lot of times it doesn't happen because I'm on the road a lot. So
right.
I guess that's kind of, I don't know if that's really the answer you're looking for, but I'm just kind of chill, So.
Yeah. Well, but it's not a surprise because I mean you're a pretty humble guy for where you're at and what you've done, and that's very commendable. So,
thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, man. I think it is about wrapping it up. I got my son with me at work, so he's been coming to work with me for the last couple of weeks, and like you said, we've been transitioning, kind of moving to Arizona and getting my house set up, and pretty excited to get home and unpack more boxes.
All right. Hey,
That's
cool.
all
And
it is
so,
right now. So
yeah, we can find you guys. Is it dcbracing.com, I believe?
no, yeah, dcbracing.com or dcbperformanceboats.com. And then we have DCB Performance Marine. And we're out here in Phoenix, you guys. We're about 8 minutes from Sky Harbor shops, about 80% there, still getting set up and getting rolling. Actually, the spray booth showed up today, so that's going up Monday. But we got, 3-4 holes in front of what we need to do to get sprayed. So we're still plugging away, you guys. The move obviously was a little lumpy, some speed bumps, but we're going to overcome them and jump the hurdles and get right back on the horse. So
yeah, I can't imagine a move with all that,
Yeah.
the larger stuff like that.
it was 18 or 20 semi trucks
Oh my gosh.
out of El Cajon. So people were
Yeah.
like, you didn't have that much stuff, but and half of those were wide load with the molds.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
Yep.
You guys plan on, are you going to have any kind of an open house at some point or anything like that?
sometime in October, guys. We wanted
Awesome.
to do it before the regatta, but I don't think it's real. So, and plus it's hot. So we want to try to have the shop opened. So I'm thinking it won't be November, but it'll probably be sometime in October. So our regatta is the first weekend of October, which is October 5th through 7th. We do a Thursday, Friday, Saturday thing. And then I want to think maybe second, third weekend. Hopefully it doesn't coincide with anything. But we'd like to have an open house and have, like you say, we're an 8-minute Uber ride from the airport. So it's pretty convenient.
Cool. Well, we'll look forward to that.
Cool,
Well, all right.
Pleasure.
Thanks again, man. I'm glad we
buddy.
finally worked it out, and I really appreciate your time.
Amen. Thanks, buddy.
All righty.
Happy
Take care.
Friday to you and have a good weekend. See you, buddy.
See you later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Powerboat Talk. If you like what you've heard, please head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. For more Powerboat Talk, follow us on Facebook or Instagram, or visit our website at powerboattalk.com.